Hey guys, it's Cynthia, and welcome back to my studio. Thank you to everybody who commented on my last video because I got some really excellent feedback and insight into how people are watching my channel, which is awesome. And I also got a cool comment from someone saying, please do a sketchbook tour. And that's what we're going to be doing today. I'm going to take you on a little walkthrough of some of my sketchbooks and just talk about the purpose of keeping sketchbooks in general and how I use mine, and maybe you'll get some inspiration for your own sketchbooks. I've picked out 3 different sketchbooks for the tour today, and I'll start off with a flip through a pretty straightforward life drawing sketchbook. This video does contain drawings of the nude figure, and this is purely artistic and educational content, but if you're sensitive to that kind of thing, consider this a warning. This book is a mix of quick 1 to 2 minute gesture warm-up drawings and a few longer poses, mostly in pencil. So what I'm going to do is kind of move quickly through the gesture drawings. You kind of get the idea pretty quickly of what those look like. And I'll pause for a minute on some of the more long pose finished stuff. Now, I didn't work from front to back, so this book isn't arranged in chronological order. And in some cases, I used both sides of the pages, so I'm split screening it. That way, even though some pages will be blank, this way you can see everything in the book. When I was working in this book, my focus was usually either on confident mark making or accurate sighting in the moment. Some of the pages even have multiple drawings layered on top of each other because the point was feeling out those individual drawings rather than making a cohesive finished picture. And this is probably one of my favorites of all the sketchbooks that I've kept so far because it represents a period in my life a couple of years ago when I had more free time to just go out and do life drawing sessions more often. And I also like this book because it has toned paper rather than just pure white. And just like with painting, where I like to build my lights and darks up from a toned surface, I was able to use both a regular 4B or 6B pencil and white charcoal in some places to pull out a few bright highlights. I always like to refer to pencil as my first love because it was the very first medium I ever used as a child, and the fact that you can do both line and value so easily with it makes it my preferred tool for sketching. And the purpose of this sketchbook was purely figure study from life. Typically, this book lived in my bag and would only get pulled out for a session or a workshop, which explains why it's actually still in pretty good shape. A lot of my books are a lot more beat up than this one. And that makes it kind of a rare gem in my collection because most of my sketchbooks are all over the shop. They're not single purpose like this one is. But single-focused study is a great reason to keep a sketchbook, and it makes it a lot easier to track your progress over time when all of your study is in one place. And in the end, you have this nice little collection all together. The next sketchbook I want to show you is a couple years older than the last one, but it's a bit more typical of my collection. And you can see the corner of the sketchbook was lovingly savaged by my old dog. Now, this sketchbook served a few purposes. It started out with some gesture drawings from, I think, 2011. You might even be able to tell that my mark making was a little different than the sketchbook that we just saw. And I probably intended to keep using this one for life drawing, but this one didn't have the luxury of living in a travel bag. The story of what normally happens is a sketchbook just happens to be the closest one to my body when something comes up. Either I get an idea or I turn a drawing into something ridiculous and this happens. I'm guessing this started out as a study of canine foot anatomy and turned into my dog's head on a human torso. I don't know why this happened, but okay, then we're back to life drawing again. But now the sketchbook can no longer take itself seriously. And it starts taunting you. You start thinking, well, maybe I can just rip that one page out and keep going. No one will ever know. But then you're at a workshop and it's the only sketchbook you've got on you, and now you're passing it around and letting your friends draw in it. I think for this sketchbook, this drawing of the horse was the point of no return. So I said, screw it. I guess I might as well just put thumbnails in here now too. Maybe I'll write notes to myself in the margins, because it's not like I'm ever gonna show this to anybody. And that's how this sketchbook became a junk book. It was a repository for whatever. So why am I showing you this? I looked at some other artists' sketchbooks for inspiration before recording this, and all these great influential artists seem to have beautiful, organized sketchbooks, and even like the messier artists are still elegantly messy. And I had a touch of sketchbook envy there for a minute, and wondered if maybe I should curate mine down to just the nicest looking pages. Then I thought, no, this channel is not about me, it's about artistic growth, and growth is sometimes awkward. So let's be real. So I'm showing it to you because it's an accurate representation of what artistic growth has looked like for me. It might not be picture perfect, but this is honestly how most of my sketchbooks are. And as usual, I'm going to tell you the upside, because one of the most frequent struggles that I see with growing artists is blank page paralysis. That's when you get a new sketchbook and you're staring at the empty first page, just super anxious about making the first mark, out of fear that you're gonna ruin the whole thing. Or maybe you did a first drawing and it was really nice, but now you've set the bar for yourself and you're committed to a certain level of quality or a theme or something, and it gets harder to do the second one. I know I've experienced that before, and so if that's you, the junk book might be your answer. Because junk books are just an unintimidating free space to explore random weird ideas, and they force you out of the mindset of being a perfectionist. And when I look back on this random collection of sketches, I realized that some pretty cool non-junk ideas actually started in here, like the thumbnails for the original video on my channel are in here, and there's the final thumbnail for the Tarzan piece that was a breakthrough for me in storytelling. And because I stopped myself from getting too precious with it, if nothing else, at least it's full. I feel like the only bad sketchbook is an empty one. And the last book on the tour today is a Moleskine that I just finished up a few months ago. It's also a bit of a junk book. It's got like a little bit of everything in it, but this started out as my travel companion. I got this book because I started flying around the country to a lot of events, and I wanted something small to take with me on the plane. And speaking of planes, this first random drawing is of a friend of mine from his profile photo at the time. I was on my way to visit him after an event, but my flight was canceled due to bad weather. So this was actually me trying to stay awake while camping overnight in the Minneapolis airport. Not a lot of fun in itself, but at least I had my sketchbook to keep me busy. And there are some thumbnails and life drawings in here too. And again, sometimes this just happened to be the sketchbook closest to my body when life drawing was happening. But there are also little captures of places that I went. This was just a cool rock formation I saw on a nature hike with some friends and decided, why not? They're patient, they'll let me sketch this. And even some of the junk pages have interesting stories. Like here, I was hanging out with an artist buddy of mine, Tyler Jacobson, who, if you haven't seen his work, it's incredible. And I was asking him for critique on the back legs of a dragon that I was having trouble with on a book cover. So he actually sketched these leg poses and we were passing the sketchbook back and forth, and you can see how I translated them into the final piece. The other thing that this sketchbook has more than the others is drawings from my imagination that were done for a purpose other than planning for a larger piece. Your sketchbooks are a great window into what you care about as an artist, and looking through these again, I realized that I almost always prioritize the final work when I'm not doing a study or sketching from life, and I don't do a lot of imaginative sketches just for their own sake. That's probably why I became an illustrator instead of a concept artist. But then there's stuff like this, which was just some personal character exploration with no finished painting in mind. I need to pick up another Moleskine soon anyway, and maybe I'll prioritize doing some more imaginative sketches. It'd be nice to have an outlet for that outside of work. I don't know, we'll see. So what kinds of sketchbooks do you guys keep? Like maybe yours have a particular theme or are for a different kind of practice. I think the takeaway for me here is that sketchbooks can be beautiful, finely crafted works of art in their own right, and maybe I'll go down that road someday, but to me they've always been a playground where the rules are flexible and it's okay to be a little ridiculous and explore ideas even if they never go anywhere. And thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the quick tour. I'm gonna go grab another cup of coffee and get some work done, and I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.